morning, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are lucky enough to be here for our first Coffee Pot webinar of 2015, our January 2015 Coffee Pot webinar, where I am talking emphatically, I might add, because it's something that I'm very excited about. I am talking about QuickViews and SmartTabs. Did I say that right, Leanne? QuickViews and SmartTabs. I tend to call them QuickTabs and SmartViews or some other convoluted combination. I have a lot of trouble with that, but we'll try and get through that trouble and show you exactly how powerful these things can be. But before I get all excited and preachy, because as I said, it's something I'm excited about, let's look at this. A little bit of housekeeping. This is your GoToWebinar control panel. It controls your experience. If you're currently connected through the telephone and you'd rather be on your mic and speakers, you can do that here. If you're currently connected through your mic and speakers and you'd rather switch to telephone, you can do that and then dial this number. Don't dial this number. I don't know what that number is. That's from an old screenshot that we took. But nonetheless, in your GoToMeeting control panel, you can control your audio experience here. You have a little button here that juts off to the left, and it looks like an arrow pointing to the right. Clicking that button will cause this thing to go away, to slide right off the right side of your screen. And when you do that, this button will change into a button, because these things will be the only things that are still left. And this button will change into a button that looks more like one with an arrow pointing to the left. And clicking that again, or clicking that leftward pointing button, will cause this to slide back in from the right side of your screen. Why would you want to do that? Well, of course, anyone who's ever attended one of our webinars or virtual user group meetings or any such thing knows that it's because you're shy and you have a question. Because if you're shy and you have a question, you can type it right here, and you can remember to hit send, and Leanne, our humble and stuffed up cold-infected moderator, will go like that, and then unmute you and let you ask your own, or then interrupt me and then read your question on your behalf. Now, while I'm answering your question, Leanne will continue to monitor what you're asking. So if you have follow-up questions, or you have discovered that I am rambling and not going in the right direction and not even answering the question you've asked, you can keep typing here. You can keep remembering to hit send, and Leanne will keep interrupting me and keeping me on track or asking your additional questions. Now, if you're not shy, you can press this button here. It looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. Same thing will happen. Leanne will recognize that you have a question. She will interrupt me at the opportune time. And then what she'll do is she'll unmute you, and she will let you ask your own question. So during the answering of that question, that channel of communication will remain open, so no Doritos, no Fritos, and no potato chips, because we'll be listening to you so that you can continue to ask questions. You can continue to have a two-way conversation with me until I get your question answered, and then Leanne will meet you back up, and you'll be in a Dorito-enabled zone. So, Leanne is holding her hand up. So we're going to see.
Paul, one of our attendees couldn't hear, but now I see I have another comment about Doritos, so that means other people can hear. I was curious to make sure that you were being heard.
All right. And who can't hear?
Well, Jennifer wants some Doritos.
Tell her I'll send them right over.
Okay.
And who can't hear?
And Vicki cannot hear.
Okay, well, if you'll message her and try and help her, and if not, keep in mind you can always listen to the recorded version after we get done producing it. Of course, okay. Vicki can't hear us saying that, so
all right, I'll help Vicki.
And I am going to make this go away, and I'm going to press this magic button, and I'm going to click on this magic red X, and I'm going to go into PracticeMaster, and we're going to talk about QuickViews and SmartTabs. Now, why am I so excited about this? Because it changes everything. One of the things that is important about practice management is that it takes information and organizes it. or it stores things like what county somebody's in, or what court they're filed in, or which tasks are more important or overdue, or it keeps track of things for you that are related to matters. But until QuickViews and SmartTabs came out, it was sometimes hard to get to that information. You had to print a report. You had to go into a screen and then enable a filter so that you'd be filtering only the items that were happening today in a specific court, or whatever it is that you're looking for. QuickViews and SmartTabs give me the ability to bring things right to the surface without you having to switch on a filter and select a certain column layout and order it a certain way, or without you having to go in and print a report or display a report to the screen to find out all the cases that you currently have active that are in Mahoning County, or anything like that. Those things in the past were there, and we could write really neat infrastructure to get them to you, but they were a little buried. And what QuickViews and SmartTabs do is they bring them right out into the environment that you're already operating within and give you that information as close to the surface as possible. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's take it from a calendar standpoint. Let's go into a calendar, but not the graphical one. Let's go into the calendar file itself. And these are QuickViews, and these are SmartTabs. Okay? So first off, when you go into a list, QuickViews and SmartTabs, by definition, are associated with lists of things. I happen to be looking right now at a list of all the calendar items for the firm. When you go into a list, in the older versions of the software, all you had was a tab that showed you the list, and if you were highlighting a certain calendar item or a certain list item, you could click on other tabs that would take you to that record, in this instance a calendar record, and then you could go back to the list. The QuickViews showed up right under that group of tabs, so you're used to these tabs, but you're not used to these if you've never seen them. The SmartTabs, for those QuickViews that have SmartTabs, then show up down here. So first off, QuickViews. The very leftmost tab is going to show you your list of data exactly the way it would have been before you even had these. So it's the same as clicking on a list, and it's just showing you everything that's in that list. If you have QuickViews defined, then all of these show up, including the one that will show you the way it always was before you had those, and the ones that you've defined. So in this example, we have My Tasks, and by clicking that, it looks at the user that's logged in, which is Ron. Ron is one of the attorneys in our sample firm, and compares that to the username in the record. Now you'll notice not all of these are Ron's, but that's because they're records that have other people on them, calendar records. If we click on My Agenda, well, I don't have anything on My Agenda. If we click on Past Due, these are all the Ron calendar items, at least ones that he's associated with, even though Jason and Jen also happen to be on them, that are past due. And then if you click on By User, you'll see a special group of calendar, a special QuickView, sorry, that has SmartTabs associated with it. So this is a QuickView that happens to have SmartTabs, and in this instance, the SmartTabs further break down this list by these subcategories, in this instance by user. Now let's look at another example before we go on, because I wanted you to kind of absorb this. Let's go into the client file. And in the client file, I have, again, this tab over here. This QuickView shows me the client file the way I've always looked at it when I simply clicked on List. If I have by area of practice, then I get these SmartTabs down here that show me all the different areas of practice, and also if I click here, I'll get a list of cases that have no area of practice assigned. So if I wanted to look at business law cases, or criminal law cases, or workers' comp cases, I would click on the appropriate Smart tab. Here's Ron's matters. No SmartTabs. Here's by attorney. Now we have the timekeeper numbers for all the primary timekeepers that have matters. These are all those for whoever is number 5. Now this points out a problem with QuickViews. I'm sorry, it's a problem with SmartTabs. SmartTabs can only operate on the actual data that's in the file at hand, and the file at hand is the client file. And if you go through and look at the setup screen where we define who the primary timekeeper is, the actual data that's stored in the client file to identify who the primary timekeeper is a number. Now it happens in the screen to pull out that person's name, but the SmartTabs do not have access to that. So unfortunately, at least in this current version, the SmartTabs can only point to primary timekeeper in this particular view by number. Okay, important thing to know. Now, let's look at one more example. Let's look at the contact file. And here we have your regular old contact file without any, SmartTabs, without any filter, without anything. But when you look at it by category, it shows me all the different categories that I have. So if you were looking for a list of insurance agents that you have in your system in the contact file, or a list of court reporters, you could get that. Now this is another quick view, my contacts. Some of you know that in your contact file you have a place to put, I'm clicking really, why am I not getting anywhere? You have a place to put who that contact belongs to, and it must be over here in my sample system. Was it on the bottom of the other one? There we go. It's called user group, and for some of our clients we've customized this field to say phone sync because it makes more sense. What ultimately happens is these sync with Outlook and go through to your phone, so that makes more sense. But if you put a username in here, you're able to say, this is a contact for Ron, along with all these other people, so that when Ron looks at his My Contacts list, he gets that person. Now, Ron hopefully has more contacts than one, but in the sample data, as you can see, Ron is only assigned to one contact. That means that only one contact would go to Ron's phone, but also, more importantly, it means that when we click on this quick view, which is what we're talking about today, Elizabeth is the only contact that comes up for Ron. And again, it knows that my contacts, quote unquote, I'm doing the air quote thing right now, but nobody can see me. Leanne, verify for them I'm doing the air quote thing. Air quote. My contacts is looking at the user ID, and I'm logged in as Ron, so the user ID for the current logged in user is Ron, and it's comparing it to this field to see if Ron is in that field. Now, what does this all mean? How do you do this? Where do you set this up? What do you do? Well, a lot of questions, but we'll try to answer them all. Over in Quick Clicks, and I'm going to pin this open just so that we can see it without it going away. You have a thing called, well, you have several things. I'm going to kind of close some of these up so we can see what's at the bottom. We have workflows, but we have quick views, but before we start talking about them, sorry, I'm getting my GoToWebinar thing out of the way here. This is difficult when you have the GoToWebinar thing in the middle of, there we go. Okay, we'll try that. We have sort by, we have filter, we have column layouts. So quick views take these three things, pull them together into a tab that can appear over here, and add the ability to do SmartTabs and a couple other things. So let's look. I'm going to assume that people know what filters are, and if you don't, we have stuff out there to show you on our video section of our site. I'm going to assume they know that you can sort by different things, and I'm going to assume they know that you can have a column layout. Quick views, therefore, take those things and pull them together. So I'm going to pull up this My Contacts Quick View, and I'm going to edit it, and here's what it's called. Here's the filter that we're using. Here's the column layout that we're using. Here's the default sort and whether or not it's ascending or descending. Those three things come together to define how this looks. This checkbox tells us that we should use a custom set of colors to identify the tab. This shows that we should show it right here is what we call a QuickView tab. It's possible to have a QuickView that doesn't show up here, but that can still be selected. You can't see it now, but can be selected under here in the QuickViews section of the Quick Clicks area. And then it has Show Smart Tabs By, and in a minute we'll look at a different QuickView and show you what that means. So if I were to click through here, I would see a list of all my filters, and I would be able to actually create a filter in here and select an existing filter. Same thing for column layout, same thing for default sort. Leanne's raising her hand. Nope, now she's doing the, I'm going to move my hand across my throat because they put their hand down. So we had a question and it went away. Hopefully I answered it. So you can go through, for instance, to column layout, and you end up in the column layout area where you can select an existing column layout, or you can actually create a new one right here. Now what's important to note, a minute ago when we were in some other area, we saw Ron's calendar items. Well, you probably wouldn't have a Ron's calendar item in a big firm that everybody saw, because nobody really cares about Ron's calendar items but him. But Ron may have wanted a quick view with a tab right in his calendar that showed him his items. So it's important to note that you can have quick views that show up for all users, and you can have them that don't. I helped Julie last night with her My Peeps quick view that takes the 3 attorneys she works for and puts all their items that are due that day, all their calendar items for that day, in a nice quick view. And we certainly don't have a My Peeps quick view for everybody in the firm. That's a non-shown for all users quick view. So you want to be careful, because if you are defining a quick view that's shown for all users, you have to be using, and it won't let you do anything but, you have to be using filters that show for all users and column layouts that show for all users. Default sorts automatically show for all users, but these two things can also be private or show for all users. So if you're doing a quick view that shows for all users, you need filters and column layouts that show for all users. Now, one more thing real quick. If we look at this one by category, we further see that we can show smart tabs by, and in this instance, RPCat. That's the nerdy field name for category if you looked at the file definitions within PracticeMaster. And what you'll see here when you drop this list down is that you are able to select only fields that have an index built in file maintenance. Now, I'm not going to go into how to build an index. Some people here are merely curious about what these are, and they'll get help defining these. So I don't want to muddy the waters by getting into how you define an index. I just want to say that any of the fields in this example contact file that are indexed can then be the basis for these smart tabs that appear at the bottom. So because of the fact that category in our contact file in this sample is indexed in the right way, we can then have it be a smart tab that appears at the bottom. Now, I want to point out something else. I think this is huge. That's not what I want to point out. This is preamble. I think this is huge because it allows us to do a lot of really neat things. For instance, if a client says, I want my receptionist, when she gets in on Monday morning, to be able to pull up a list of all the files that need to have something done to them based on some field that's been set or some task that's there or something. And we can do that now. Or I want to be able to have a list that shows up in the client file of all the matters that are coming up for trial in the next 2 weeks, or whose statute of limitation runs in the next 2 months, or anything like that. It brings this sort of thing, this infrastructure building stuff, to the surface to make it even more of a robust infrastructure that people can operate within and feel comfortable accessing the data. So what do I want to say that's important? These rely on filters. These especially, because first you're filtering by one thing, and then you're also sub-filtering, if you will, by these smart tabs. They can be slow if you don't have platinum. So if you don't have platinum, and you have a big firm, or you have a mid-sized firm, or you have a small firm but you have a lot of data, well, those are 3 instances where you really should have Platinum. So I guess what I'm really after is this will make that blatantly obvious. So don't start using QuickViews and SmartTabs without Platinum and be disappointed by the speed. Know that, you know, if you like them and if they do things for you that are valuable, that all you really need to do is get to that higher level of the software that can handle those filterings without taking so long to do so. I could probably go on talking about this for hours. I wanted to give a clear definition of what they are, how they work, how you set them up, what they rely on. I want to point out we have people here from all sorts of different firms, all sorts of different disciplines within the firm. For instance, Chris is in marketing, and so she's probably thinking, oh, I could really do some neat stuff with QuickViews in my contact file, because she's interested in how you break down contacts and how you kind of put them into groups, and QuickViews can bring those groups right up to the surface. Okay. Kim's at a firm that's had PracticeMaster for a long time. So is Scott, so are a lot of people that are on this list. Those people are probably going, oh, wow, those are cool. I've never seen them before. The reason for that is when you update your data, when you install the new version that has QuickViews and SmartTabs, you didn't have those before, so you don't have them now. I don't mean you don't have the feature. I just mean you hadn't defined any. When I install a new system with new sample data or new starter data, or I install a new demo system like what we're looking at now, I get these right out of the box. But you people who are existing users, all you really need to know is that they're there to go start playing with them. You can't mess anything up, especially if you don't check that Show for All Users box. So go start playing with them and see what you can do with them and take advantage of this. So it's important to note, you know, very cool feature, but if you haven't seen it, it doesn't mean it's not there. I will say, however, that if you aren't on version 17.1 or higher, is that truly in, or is it 16? I don't know if we know. I'm sure we know. I'm just not remembering. If you're not on the version that has QuickViews, which you can see right here what version you're on by clicking on Help and then About PracticeMaster or About Tabs, whatever program you're in, then you don't have them. So if you're on an older version, you might not have them. Or if you're on the newer version, but you had the older version and you updated from it, you just may not see them. Okay. So that's it. That's QuickViews. I managed to keep it under a half an hour, which I'm kind of impressed with myself for, because I think it's something that I could go on talking about for hours. So since I'm done, I want to show a couple things. I want to show our new website, not because I think it's cool, and I am sad to lose the picture of my folded arms and my white shirt and my red tie, but other people apparently were getting tired of seeing those things. But if you click on videos and then find the thing that you're interested in, like the coffee pot webinar that you happen to be at right now, you will be taken to a page that describes that particular video series. In this instance, the coffee pot webinar series. We'll show you the login information for the next, or at least right now, this is the current one because we happen to be here right now. And then as you scroll down, you will find the actual videos from prior events with the complete description. One thing that we've added to the new website, one of many reasons that we've designed things differently or redesigned things, is this search box. So if I want to find, for instance, QuickViews, all I have to do is type it. I get a list of right away, kind of like Google when I'm typing QuickViews, but then I'm here we have all the hits for QuickViews. So keep in mind, all this video content is right here under videos. We have 3 virtual user group meetings. We have a page that describes just the fact that we have virtual user group meetings. We have the coffee pot webinars. We have Mary Jo's e-bite series, which is short 3-4 minute snippets on very succinct, very short topics, and our longer Paul and Mary Jo show where Mary Jo or I will take a broader topic and explore it in greater detail. So by all means, be sure to come here, visit this, use this information all the time, and this is also where you find out what the next webinar or virtual user group meeting or Paul and Mary Jo show is, and if it's something you can attend live, you'll find that registration link. That's it. Everybody have a good rest of the day. Welcome to 2015. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.